Very good evening to everyone in India and wherever you are. Welcome to the first interaction session of the course on lighter than air systems, abbreviated as LTA systems. I am Rajkumar Pant, the instructor for this course, and I am very happy to be interacting today with all the students. We can probably start with questions which have been raised by some of the students. So I would request the teaching assistant Namanuddin to please share the questions on the screen one by one. Jairam Suthar is saying good evening. Very good evening not only to Jairam Suthar but also to all the participants of today's session. If any student has any queries, they can even type in the chat window, which I'm going to have a look and try to answer. Oshin Mittal, Shubhankar Chakrabarti, a very good evening to you. Faizul Islam, Chaitanya Bansal, a very good evening. Please type your questions on the chat window if you have any. Good evening, Vicky. Okay, so let me do one thing. Good evening, Noman. Would you be able to type the questions? Good evening, Nupur Kulkarni. Welcome to the interactive session. Gabriel Belmo, very good evening. I hope you are doing well. Last time was when in Introduction to Aircraft Design course in 2020. Yes, I am doing well. Thank you so much for your kind words. And welcome to the course. So Shubhankar has a question. Will the certificate we get after the certificate examination is from IIT Bombay? No, Shubhankar. If you want a certificate from IIT Bombay, then you have to join IIT Bombay as a student. The certificate that you will get for this course will be from NPTEL, which is headquartered in IIT Madras. So the certificate will come from NPTEL, not from IIT Bombay. Babitran, good evening, Babitran. So an interaction session is basically about interacting. So Chaitanya Bansal says, sir, can you tell us about some of the new exciting and research areas in LTA systems? Yes, I will do that. Meanwhile, Shubham Bodke, one of my ex-interns, is also there in the meeting. Welcome, Shubham. Nice to hear from you. So what I'm going to do, friends, is I'm going to start showing you something. A question from Chaitanya is about something new happening in this area. So let me share with you something. I have okay, so I will talk to you about a very interesting event which is going to happen very soon in the month of June this year, called as Deltas 2022. It stands for an international conference on design and engineering of LTA systems. So what is Deltas 2022? It is the first international conference on LTA systems in India. Our aim is to gather global experts and leaders in the field of LTA systems, and several specialists and experts have agreed to come over to India to attend this conference in person, and some of them may also join online, although we are making this conference as far as possible an in-person normal offline conference. I will answer the questions a bit later. Gabriel and Norman, just wait till I finish the presentation about deltas, then I'll take questions. This particular conference will aim to tackle multidisciplinary design challenges in the aerodynamic structure, design, propulsion and control of LTA systems. We will host industry leaders and eminent speakers to discuss on various aspects of LTA systems, and we are also going to conduct a two-day conference in which around 30 papers have been already cleared for final, we have gone through the abstracts and we have shortlisted around 30, more than 30 papers, which will then be presented either as the paper as a presentation or as a poster presentation. So friends, please note down these dates. It has happened during the summer vacation. On 22nd June, there is going to be a pre-conference workshop. In this workshop, one of the software companies called Metacomp, they are going to showcase their software for design and analysis of LTA systems. This will be a full day workshop in IIT Bombay in one of our computer labs, and in this workshop you will learn about how to use some standard software tools for analyzing LTA systems, both from the point of view of aerodynamics as well as from the point of view of structures. So there will be a separate fee for this conference. This is mainly for students and researchers who are new in the field. We will share with you our website to inform you. There are limited seats available. I think there are only 60 seats available. So please, those of you who are interested can register for this pre-conference workshop. On 23rd and 24th June, we are going to have our two-day conference, which will consist of keynote speeches by invited and sponsored agencies, as well as paper presentations by contributed papers, as well as the poster sessions. And we'll also have on either one evening or both the evenings, we will have a panel discussion or panel discussions on topics relevant to LTA systems. One panel discussion has already been finalized in association with an agency in Europe, and on 25th and 26th June, there is a very interesting event for young students like you. This is an international model airship regatta. Now, the word regatta is normally used for competition involving yachts and for sailing, but airships are like yachts which float in the air. So we call it as a model airship regatta. This is a totally indoor event in one of the dome theaters in IIT Bombay, the sports dome complexes. We are going to conduct this competition. On 25th June will be the practice session where you will be provided the lifting gas and you can fill up the airship envelope. So you are supposed to bring your own airship to the competition. You are supposed to make the airship in advance and bring it here, and then we will provide you with the LTA gas, and there will be some experts available to help you out, and then you are supposed to fly. There are going to be two competitions. One is to do with the fastest speed on a figure of 8, and the second will be on how much mass you can lift on a given amount of envelope volume. I am happy to share with students that this particular model airship regatta has recognized by the International Aero Modeling Federation, FAI. So therefore it is a registered and official event of the International Aero Modeling Federation, and we are being supported by Aero Club of India. So whatever activities we take place are going to be officially recorded, and if any team is able to beat the current record, it will become a world record, officially recognized by the FAI. So the competition will be on 26th of June, but 25th will be a practice session available for all the teams. Now, there is a problem that many students don't know how to make an airship, and that too a small indoor airship. So for that, as part of your course on LTA systems, we have included some capsules on design and sizing of indoor remotely controlled airship, and we also plan to give additional material on some practical sessions about which you will get to know later. So we are planning to conduct workshops in which we will teach you actually how to fabricate a small remotely controlled airship. Okay, we are supported by a large number of organizations. Uh, we have been appreciated and supported by the International Airship Association, which is a premier body based in UK, but an international body to do with airships. Metacom Technologies is the one that is sponsoring this particular workshop. The Aeronautical Society of India, especially the Mumbai branch, there is a private company called Imperial Galaxy which is trying to enter the field of LTS systems. We have support from the Institution of Engineers India and also from the Indian Women Professionals Associations. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk to you about this conference. I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has. And now we will just go back. Okay. Okay, so now I'll be able to have a look at some of the questions which have been asked. So if I just go one by one, I'll just try to go one by one on the top. So there is a question from Naman. What would you say are some of the new innovation or research areas in LTA systems? You will hear about them in the course. The most innovative systems which are happening right now are basically the hybrid airships, or a combination of aircraft and airships or helicopters and airships. Okay, these are the most common new innovations, and also a research area is what is called as a high altitude airship. So hybrid airships and high altitude airships are new and emerging research areas in LTA systems. Okay. Sir, are airships made bigger than aircraft? Is a question by Kathivichu YGR. Okay, so generally airships are larger than aircraft simply because the volume required by the envelope of an airship to carry a reasonable amount of payload tends to be quite large, because as you know from the notes, you must have figured out by now that roughly 1 cubic meter of volume is required to lift, to provide 1 kilogram of vertical force. So if you have an envelope of 200 cubic meters, you will get normally approximately about 200 kgs of vertical force. From that you subtract the self weight, and that is going to be available to you for carrying the payload. And that's why airships tend to be larger than aircraft or corresponding aircraft. Will you please solve the assignment number 3 last problem? No, I cannot solve any assignment problems here. That is not the purpose of this particular session. Assignment problems have to be solved by you, and if you have any doubts or any problems, we have a discussion forum where you should air your doubts, and my teaching assistants are going to help you out. This session is not for solving problems. This session is for interacting with you and to try and get some other questions from you. So I will not talk anything here about solving assignments or questions. Similarly, there is a question saying, please suggest some common strategies for solving week 4. No, I will not be able to answer that. What is the current scenario of airships or aerostats industry at the global as well as national level? Okay, this is a very loaded question. It requires a huge amount of time to answer, but I'll give you a very brief idea. Briefly speaking, in India, there is a DRDO laboratory by the name Aerial Delivery R&D Establishment. They are the pioneering agency in the country that has developed aerostats for quite a few years now. They began with a very small 90 cubic meter envelope, then they went to 250, then 1000, then 2000. Now they are working at much larger envelopes, and they are also working on an autonomous outdoor airship. Okay. So they are the primary agency in the country in the R&D sector, defense R&D sector, which is working on airships. Other than that, unfortunately, there are no private companies in the country who are actively pursuing design of LTA systems, although there are many who are interested to get into the field and who are in touch with us and my associates to set up various companies. Internationally, there are several agencies who are developing airships. You keep seeing and keep hearing about several contracts in Brazil, in UK, in USA, in Russia, America, Canada, these are France, these are some of the countries, Germany. Germany of course is the is the country where the technology of LTS systems was really mastered, and hence it's very active in LTA research. Anuj Mishra, please provide the link registered in pre-conference workshop. Yes, so please wait for some time. We have not yet done. I will share with you the website for the conference. So it is deltas2022.in, but we have not yet started the registration for the pre-conference workshop. We will soon do it. So keep watching on the website. Okay. Okay. Right. So dear learners, you are requested to ask questions. Okay. Directly from the website. Can we join the workshop that you will provide in the upcoming course? Definitely. Shubhankar, yes, you can join this workshop, and also if you are interested to join our workshop for training to fabricate the airship, definitely you will write. Jairam Sudhar has a question, sir, can airship technology beat drone technology? Airships are a type of drones only. There is no competition between airships and drones, because drones generally is a very colloquial name. It's a non-technical name. The correct name is an unmanned aerial system. But drones generally is a name given for multi-copters, quadcopters. Okay. LTA systems are also a kind of drones, because we can also use, but the difference is that the LTA systems have a much larger endurance compared to drones, and also LTA systems are large in size. They are also very much disturbed by changing wind conditions and bad weather conditions. Gabriel has a question, how are you able to use mathematical operations while designing things? Mathematical operations are useful for us only to establish the correlation between certain dependent variables with certain independent variables and some constants. So we always use mathematical expressions in our design estimations, but when we actually design the LTA systems, at that time we are not going to use directly any mathematical expressions. There are a lot more of algorithms and optimization techniques to be used. How to figure out which one to use when in a mathematical manner? So you are right, there are many algorithms and optimization techniques available. So you choose an optimization technique keeping in mind the problem, looking at the nature of the problem, looking at the type of objective function, looking at the type of constraints, type of the design variables. There are appropriate problem methods available. Now this is not a course in optimization, so I would recommend that if you have questions regarding which optimization tool to use, I think you should register for a course in optimization, and there are many courses available in NPTEL on optimization. Okay, so my request is that optimization is a very vast field, and you should be able to get the correct and the appropriate suggestions by consulting experts in that area. For a beginner, as engineering math subjects, clear to get involved in research during things is not fruitful. Not necessarily, Gabriel. It all depends on what you do with those equations. Do you just remain in the equations, or do you actually use them fruitfully? Okay. How should I apply the things as you did for a beginner, and what should be the guide to know these things? So very difficult question to answer. Basically, what you should do is use mathematics as a tool or as a guide to help you with your sizing and estimations, but don't get obsessed with that. Okay. All right. Again, there's a question, how strong are the envelope material of airships? Can you bullet shot at a reasonable speed tear upon it? Well, envelope materials are not bulletproof, but the interesting thing is that if you fire a bullet, the bullet will create an entry hole and an exit hole and go out, but because the internal pressure is not much higher than atmospheric pressure, nothing much happens. So it may not be bulletproof, but it's not really going to create a problem. Okay, so there have been many instances where I remember one case when, as a test, 17 bullets were fired through the envelope, and nothing happened. The envelope came down after about 3.5 hours. So it gave enough time for the people to recover themselves. Shubhankar has a question about what are the research now going on in aerospace engineering field. It is such a vast field, Shubhankar. How can I answer a question about aerospace engineering? This is an interaction session on LTA systems. I can answer questions about LTA systems, but I don't want to exceed the scope of my discussion with you and go into aerospace systems. So if you can ask me specifically about LTA systems, I will be very happy to answer. Rammohan Reddy wants to know how these can help in defense systems. In fact, airships and aerostats are mostly used for defense. Okay, they are used for defense, essentially for aerial surveillance, photography, radar, etc. So LTA systems are more suited for defense. Adarsh Gunjan, sir, but UAVs are heavier than air, so how is it type of LTA? No, I am only saying that LTA systems are a kind of unmanned aerial vehicles. Okay, you have a feeling that UAV only means HTA. No, for me a UAV is an unmanned aerial vehicle. It can be HTA, it can be LTA, it can be a combination of both of them. Chaitanya Bansal wants to know what would you say a 10th grader can do and make to further get knowledge about LTA systems. Chaitanya, I think the first thing that you should do is get a basic idea about the sizing equations and then try to make a hot air balloon. Okay, that will give you a very good experience on how to get the exact estimate for the static lift available from the balloon. So we have an exercise on sizing of a hot air balloon, and if you have any issue, you can always send an email to me and I will send you a detailed problem statement on how to do a hot air balloon sizing. Airships smaller than size of the aircraft isn't much of use. If not, there are any small size airships than the conventional aircraft which is used for commercial applications. See, Kathi Virichu, remember, an LTS system is dependent principally on buoyancy, so it will definitely be larger than a corresponding system. So if you look at kilogram to kilogram comparison, that means an aircraft that can carry 20 kg and an LTA 20 kg, the LTA system will be much larger because we are volume dependent, whereas there is no volume needed. Okay, so there is no problem. See, just because you are larger in size doesn't mean it's always a problem. There are certain applications where size doesn't matter that much. Nupur wants to know, LTA are lighter than air types, then what are most of the problems faced while designing certain LTA? The principal problem, Nupur, is that because it is LTA, it tends to always go up. It doesn't come down. In a normal aircraft or a UAV, if you lose control, the vehicle will fall to the ground. In case of an LTA system, if you lose control, the vehicle will start drifting with the wind and go away from you. Okay, so that is one of the biggest problems. Second thing is they are larger in size, so they have very high drag even at low speeds, and that's why their speeds are also quite low. So there are many such challenges, and as you do this course, you will realize we are going to take a session on design of aerostats and design of airships. In that session, which will come I think in the 10th week or so, you will be able to understand. There are a lot of papers by you written on AIAA. Theoretically, how are you able to do that, sir? Gabriel, the papers are not written by me only. I have a huge group of youngsters like you, students, researchers, interns who work in our lab. They are the ones who do the research with me and they are the ones who write these papers. That is why you will notice my name appears mostly in the last. Okay, I am the last person in the list of papers. There are few papers which I have written also, but most of the papers I am the last author because most of the work is done by students, interns, project engineers, and I only supervise them and guide them. That's why I am able to have so many papers under my name. I am not the author of all the papers, I am only a co-author. Prasad wants to know, I am making a prototype the length of 4 feet, how much height can it go? Well, Prasad, the height at which airship can go, it is just very difficult to put a limit, because if you, for example, make an envelope with 4 meter length and if you put enough gas in it and suppose you remove the payload and just release the balloon, it will keep going up in the air like a hot air balloon or like a helium balloon till the pressure outside and inside, the difference is so much that it will tear the envelope. That may happen at many kilometers. So it can go to many, but you will not be able to control it because your remote control will have a range only of maybe 2 kilometers, etc. Okay, and then if you make the balloon go very far away, it will catch the wind and then it will be thrown away. No power plant will be able to handle that much wind. So that's why we don't make LTE system fly very high at high altitude. Shubhankar Chaudhary wants to check from where will we get your email ID? See, today anybody who has done some work or some research, his work is available online. If you do a simple Google search with my name, you know I am Rajkumar Pant from IIT Bombay. This is enough. Just do a Google search and you will get everything on email, on Google. Okay, you don't have to ask any question to me. Ocean Mittal wants to know, during crosswinds, won't the control of airship become a lot more difficult? In those situations, how is airship controlled? Ocean, a very important question. This is a serious problem with airships. If you have very large amount of crosswinds, what we do is we just try to align the nose of the airship with the ambient wind and try to fight it and bring it back. But if we cannot do that, or if we are late in doing that, the crosswind can just drift, make the airship go, and it is very difficult to control it. So what you say is right. There is a problem. So the best way is try to turn the airship to face nose into the wind and fly it towards yourself against the wind and then bring it down. Anuj Mishra, to get the certificate for this course, is it necessary to give exam in the offline centers? If it would online, then it will be fine. No, I am not very sure. I think NPTEL does not conduct any online examination. They insist that you go to some offline center. But there are many offline centers in almost all cities. They are there. So therefore, and it is a requirement that you should do the examination if you want certificate. Because watching the videos or taking part in the discussion like this is very easy. The real test of your knowledge and your seriousness comes when you do the assignments every week and when you give the examination. So I am sorry, Anuj, to get a certificate, examination is compulsory. Examination is compulsory and it is controlled by NPTEL, not by us. So we don't know. If NPTEL gives you online examination permission, I have no problem. But you have to talk to NPTEL. Akriti wants to know, if we want to start designing a small LTA system, what material should we use? That's a good question. Any material that can take the loads which are expected to come on the vehicle, as well as which can hold on or not allow the leakage of the LTA gas. Okay. So, so now you have to experiment. So there are many materials which are commonly available for students, lightweight, thin materials for indoor airships like metallized nylon. But there is a special lecture on airship materials or LTA materials in our course. Please go through that course and lecture and you will know answer to many of these questions. Ramohan Reddy wants to know how this LTA vehicle work in snow falling areas and what factors will apply. LTA systems can work in snow falling areas. We have flown a small airship in Manali in mild snow conditions, and the problem is only when there is a change in the wind direction by a large magnitude. That is the only time when the buoyant system like LTA has a problem. Okay. So Ocean Mittal says, so this would mean that flight of airship depends largely on weather conditions as well, 100%. When you plan a flight of the airship, you have to be very careful about what kind of weather conditions are being encountered. But there is a beauty. The beauty is that unlike an aircraft, airships can wait. So let's say you are flying an airship from Mumbai to Pune, just an example. And when you are going on the way, halfway during the flight, suppose you encounter very bad weather. So airships can remain up in the air without any consumption of fuel. So what we can do is we can wait for the storm to pass, okay, which cannot be done by the aircraft. Prasad says that he is making a prototype for my MTech thesis. I don't have a good lab. Please suggest me what to do. Prasad, please consider coming to our lab and making your airship. We have a scheme by which MTech students from other universities can come to our institute and work on their MTech project. And so many people like you have already come and done their MTech projects in our department, in our laboratory. I mean, I can count at least 10 to 12 such MTech students. So just contact me via email and I will tell you the procedure by which Students of other colleges who are doing MTech projects or BTech projects on LTS systems, they can come and work with me. And our lab has all facilities that you may require. We have facility for joining material, we have facility for leak testing, we have facility even for pumping the helium back into the cylinder from the envelope to save it. So just don't worry. Chaitanya Bansal wants to know, can gliders be attached to a detachable LT envelope for height and be more or equally viable to getting the glider attain height from aeroplane? Yes, Chaitanya, it can be done. We are working on a very interesting project in which some UAVs will be docking onto an aerostat, and it will be going out for doing surveillance and come back and attach itself on the air. This is one of the research projects that we are doing. Harish Adishwar, why LTS systems is not much popular? Very simple, these two main reasons. The first main reason is that they are very much dependent on weather conditions for safe operation. So they are not all weather vehicles, and therefore the window during which they can be operated is generally limited by very good and calm weather conditions, or you can say fair weather conditions. I'll repeat once again, they can fly in rain, they can fly in snow, they can fly even when it is very cold or very hot. The only problem is when the wind is changing direction rapidly. During those conditions, LTS systems have a problem. Okay. So Prasad says, can we place the airship in seashore for monitor of oil extraction? 100%. Airships were very popular by the Navy for aerial surveillance and protecting the ships. Lalit Nagapurkar, welcome Lalit. What is the longest endurance achieved by any LTA or airship? Well, one of the airships was able to fly for 52 hours non-stop. Okay. That was Skyship 600. During testing, it was found that it could fly non-stop for 52 hours. But there are LTS systems under design which are called as high altitude long endurance airships, which are planned to be up in the air for 6 months non-stop, because they will not be flying too much, they will be maintaining their station. So they will be parked at a height between 17 to 22 kilometers, where the wind is very low in magnitude, and maybe it is even there is a area where the wind changes direction. So therefore there will be a point where there will be inversion, that means the velocity will be zero. If you park the vehicle at that altitude, there is a proposal to run LTS system for 6 months or even 1 year non-stop. So really long envelope, long endurance. Okay. Kachivichu again, if the envelope is not bulletproof, won't the high P air outside tries to come inside and evenly descend the system? Yes, if there is a puncture, it will happen, but see, the pressure inside is not too much different from outside. It is slightly more than outside to maintain the shape of the envelope, and therefore it doesn't gush out and create any catastrophic problem. Okay, so as I mentioned to you, during one test there were 17 bullets fired through the airship. There were 17 in and out holes, 34 holes on the envelope, but it took about 3.5 hours for it to slowly come down. Can a student from else university get to know some guidance regarding paperwork? Can it be sent to your ID? A student want to make improvement in research things. Gabriel, yes, so many students are doing research with us in LTS systems and also in other areas. Okay, it all depends upon how sincere you are, how hardworking you are. So the first thing I will ask you to do is get a good score in this course and then write to me saying that I have secured so many marks in this course, I am very serious, and therefore would you be able to give me an internship? And by the way, NPTEL also gives internship to some top 2 or 3 students in the course. So if you are a topper of the course or maybe top 2 or 3 rank, you will automatically get a paid internship from NPTEL to work under my supervision in my laboratory for up to 3 months. Faisal Islam, what is your opinion about LTS systems in future? LTS systems, according to me, are the future for cargo transportation and certain niche applications where environmental friendly solutions are needed and where the current technology may not be suitable, especially for long endurance and large volumes of payloads. Shreya Nayak, can I get some help with the easily available fuel for making hot air balloon? Well, you can use kerosene for hot air balloon fuel. You don't have to go for any special method. You could use camphor, you could use kerosene. One of my lectures is there on sizing of a hot air balloon. We will try to make it available to you in the course if possible, or we can conduct a session sometime. Jairam wants to know, can we control airship direction using propulsion system? Yes, thrust vectoring is a very important and very common way of providing control in the direction of the airship. In the course we will discuss about that also in detail. Akriti wants to know if we require permission from FAA or some other authority to fly an airship or hot air balloon at high altitude. Yes, Akriti, there are two kinds of airspaces. There is a controlled airspace and an uncontrolled airspace. When you fly in a controlled airspace, depending on how much proximity you are from the airport authority of India gives you certain permissions. But if you are flying in uncontrolled airspace, then you can actually fly without any permission or any requirement. But you have to be sure that under any circumstances you will not be drifting your balloon into controlled airspace. So there are procedures for it and permissions can be taken. Shubham Bhodke says, why polythene fabric more preferable than mylar and latex rubber? Is it only regards to radiative properties? No, Shubham. Polyethylene fabric is more useful because of its lightweight and because it will hold helium better. Mylar is a commercial product, so it is costly. Latex rubber is available, but it is heavy and very much stretchable. So if you can afford mylar, then use mylar by all means. You can use a combination of Tedlar and mylar. Okay, a composite of Tedlar and mylar is the most suitable one for small airships, especially indoor airships. And latex rubber is good, but it is very heavy and therefore it will make your payload capacity lower. Prasad wants to know, can we use nitrogen as LDA gas? Yes, because nitrogen is lighter than air and therefore technically speaking nitrogen is going to give you lift. However, please remember the difference in the density between nitrogen and the air outside is not too much. So the difference in density, rho air minus rho gas, that is what gives you the buoyant force into the envelope volume. So you will not get too much lift with nitrogen, although nitrogen is LTA and you can use it. Okay. We can definitely use nitrogen as LTA gas. However, it is going to be not very efficient. So Naman has replied to I think it was a question raised by Shreya. There is something called as RIHAB, rehab, okay, reusable indoor hot air balloon. So in week 11 we are going to show you about how to design and make and fabricate a rehab, and we'll also show you some videos of successful rehabs developed by interns and students like you in our lab. So that will give you an idea. Okay friends, so we have now come almost to the end of the questions on the chat window, but please feel free. We have around 19 minutes more available in this session. So make use of this session and ask your questions. So yes, I am waiting for your questions. Let me see if I have not answered any questions so far. I'll just go through all the questions once again and check if there is any question which I have left by any chance. So Anuj says we have to secure good marks in exam, that is assignment or offline exam, to get internship. So Anuj, the total score that is created is based on your performance in the assignments, I mean your score in the assignments and also the score in the examination. If I remember correctly, there is a 30% weightage for the assignments and 70% weightage for your examination. So the total score that you will get out of 100 will be 70% based on examination and 30% based on 8 of the best 12 assignments. Amartya Kulkarni wants to know, can a person do career in this field? Why not? I am doing my career in this field for last so many years. Absolutely no problem. You can definitely pursue a career in this field. So many students with me are doing MTech and PhD in this field. So, okay, Vignesh Srinivasan is also one of our ex-interns, I think. Vignesh wants to experience envelope welding techniques. So yes, Vignesh, we understand the problem. So what we are doing is, in my lab right now, a small airship is being built, and they said that today they will be probably fly it. Okay. So once they have recorded the whole process of making the airship, and that will also be shared on the video. So you will get to see. And as I said, we are going to announce a workshop. There is going to be a free online workshop. I would like to announce that also to you. The date is not yet fixed, but somewhere in March, there is going to be a free online workshop which is funded by Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. So it's going to be a 2-day workshop on sizing and design of indoor remotely controlled airship. And there will be speakers from Canada and there will be speakers from India, from my lab, who will be taking, and it will be free of cost. So I will announce it whenever the dates are fixed. It will be, generally speaking, to suit the Canadian timetable also. It will be from evening 7:30 to around 10:30 in the night, or maybe up to 11. Okay, so I will let you know, and Naman is going to share the information onto the discussion group. Okay, Shubhankar wants to know, only degree and MTech students can use IIT for research or diploma. No, Shubhankar, diploma students also can work in IIT. However, we normally deal with people who are after 12th standard, who are in undergraduate courses. But diploma students can also work with IIT Bombay. Prasad says, sir, can we use aerostat for renewable energy generation? Prasad, the answer is yes. Actually, I am going to start a new project on exactly this particular scheme. I cannot declare the details to you because the idea is slightly patented, but definitely I can tell you that yes, and we are going to launch a project, and hopefully there will be a 5-month study, a feasibility study, and if it is successful, then we are going to get a project to fabricate and test it. So the answer is yes. Wait and watch. Maybe in the next interaction session, I will be able to give you more information on this project. Okay. Anuj Mishra wants to know, that are doing MSc after in PhD, can we take LTA? Why not? You can. Definitely you can. See, there are students in this particular meeting who are from class 10th also. There are students from class 12th also. There are people who are very senior, who are faculty members. LTS systems, as you must have seen so far, they can be handled by almost anybody. Oshin says, from analytical thinking point of view, what are the things that are different from RC aircraft that are kept in mind while designing airship? Very good point of view, very good point. You need to be very careful about the weather conditions, because the buoyancy of an airship envelope is very much a function of temperature, ambient temperature, humidity, and also purity of the gas and other things like pressure, etc. So these numbers are not really so important when you design a UAV, but when you work on LTS systems, the static lift prediction is very important, and that is why in our course we have taken 3 weeks to explain to you static lift concept, static lift estimation, static lift variation, okay, and pressure height. Shubham wants to know, repeat the name of the fabric which one can use in combination for indoor airship. It is metallized nylon, okay, or MPET, it can be used. How many assignments should we submit for getting certificate? So Prasad, you should submit all the assignments, all 12 of them, because best 9 will be taken for evaluation. There is 1 assignment per week. It's a 12-week course. Best 8 out of 12 are counted for the score in the assignment, and assignments are done by you without any time pressure. You can discuss with anybody, you can check online, you can check on the books. So assignments are a very good way of getting high score. In fact, you should aim for full marks in assignments, so that out of 100, 30 marks are already decided. Remaining 70 marks are a function of the examination. Ocean Mittal, RC airship with respect to above question. Okay, I mentioned to you about RC airships already. Mainly it's to do with the measurement of buoyancy and light weight. We have to be very careful with weight management in LTS systems. Naman has a very good suggestion. There is a discussion forum. That discussion forum should be used by you to ask questions even during the whole semester, because it will be regularly monitored by the teaching assistants and also by me. If they can't answer something, they will consult me and you will get answers. So what kind of experiments are done on high altitude balloon? That is Akriti. Okay, so Akriti, let me explain to you. Balloons can also be used for exploration of atmosphere in other planets. We are working on two projects for ISRO, one on Venus, the other on Mars. Okay, so your teaching assistant Namanuddin is working on one of the projects to do with the design of a UAV for Mars exploration, and there are others who are working for a balloon based system, a phase change balloon based system, or an airship for operation over Venus. So mostly the high altitude balloons are used for atmospheric data gathering, and sometimes you can use it for aerial photography and also to act as a communications payload. Naman says that we would love to answer your doubts and queries, so please, discussion forum is meant for that. Anuj wants to know where you announce your workshops and lab that we have to go in LAT, that would want to join and can join from there. Don't worry Anuj, you will get the notification in discussion forum of the NPTEL course on LTS system also, and also the website which I told you, www.deltas2022.in. Rajkumar Reddy says how this LTS system works in seas. Well, it doesn't work below the sea in the water. It works basically on ships and other barges mounted on the sea, moving on the sea, or it works in the shore. You can mount the LTS system on the ground. Danks wants to say, I want to do a project where we can launch a horizontal rocket for missile operation. Can we use the LTS system for it? Danks, I don't think that is suitable for it, because the horizontal rocket will give out so much of heat and so much of smoke that you may damage the envelope. That is number one. Secondly, in an LTS system, if there is a sudden loss in the weight because of the rocket being launched, there will be a very, very large change in the buoyancy. It may become difficult to control it. So I don't think balloons or LTS systems are a correct system to be used for launching rockets. Anuj says, by mistake I left the 3 assignments to do within the due date. Now I do submit. Will it not consider, and what should be the balance my marks? So Anuj, remember there are going to be only 8 out of 12 considered. So you have missed 3 of them. You have 1 more you can miss. Remaining 8 you do perfectly and you will get full marks. Faizul Islam, so don't you think the harsh climate and pressure on Venus might hinder the performance of UAVs in our research? Yes, it will, and that is why we are doing the research. We are not the only people. So we know the environment is harsh, but between 40 kilometers to 60 kilometers above the surface of the Mars. So we will not use LTS system on the surface of the Mars because temperature is very high. Plus there is sulfuric acid clouds. We will use it only between 40 to 60 kilometer height, where the conditions are, I think, maximum temperature 120 degrees and minimum temperature 20 degrees. That is can be managed with envelopes. Vignesh wants to know, would it be possible? Sorry, I am just losing the track. Oh, he has removed that message. Nupur Kulkarni wants to know, as you mentioned, airships will float up, and then how will these be landed down? Even how are they employed in defense sector then? Well, airships, the buoyancy of the airship can be controlled. Okay, so they have a tendency to float up, but you can carry ballast and you can carry payload to match the buoyancy, and then you can control the buoyancy. So when you want to come down, you can lose the buoyancy and you can come down. So you will study the use of you will be studying in the course about balloonet. Balloonets. These balloonets are very useful. In the defense sector, mostly we use aerostats which are tethered to the ground. They become platforms to carry missiles or any other cameras and sensors at high altitude. So they are being used all over the world. They were used in the Gulf War, they were used in the Afghanistan sector, and they are also being used today in many countries, including in India. So look across the border. Okay friends, there are 7 minutes remaining and I am available to answer your queries. The next session is going to happen only after 1 month. So this is the right time for you to talk and ask your questions. So if you are interested to, so Nauman, I would like you to put some kind of a questionnaire on the discussion forum where we will ask people about the workshop, if they want to attend the workshop, how to do it. Vignesh wants to know, is it permitted to contact your suppliers to procure items to build airship? If so, suppliers like Entremonde do not supply in retail. No, don't worry. Vignesh, you don't have to go to Entremonde, even we don't go there. We don't go there because they are also too big for us. Okay, we don't go to Entremonde. We buy our material from local market. So they are available locally. These materials are not so exotic, they are available locally. Amartya Kulkarni wants to know what is the maximum speed which airships can attain. So if you look at the literature, you will find that generally the maximum speed of airships is around 120 kilometers per hour. So between 100 to 120 kilometers per hour is the maximum speed at which airships have been flown. Kochi Vichu says, if airships are used in defense, aren't they easily visible to enemy camps due to its size? Yes, they are. But see, there are many applications in defense where you can use the system within your own territory, or you can protect it by providing facilities nearby. So large size is a problem, but the height is so much high that from small arms fire from the ground will not reach them. Oshin wants to know, aerostat would be highly useful for space observations also. So do observatories use them? No, observatories use telescopes because they want to go to very high altitude for observation. Aerostats are used by putting a camera or a sensor on them to look down on the earth. Observatories look from earth to the space, but aerostats are used to look from space to the earth. Ramon Reddy wants to know, can LTA system used for commercial purposes like supply of arms items and medical systems in areas? Ramon, I started a research project on transportation of goods and passengers in Uttarakhand for hill areas long ago. In the year 1999, 2000, I started working on that and I stopped working in 2003. So the answer is yes, we have done a project recently for the Uttarakhand government for providing communication in remote areas, especially during disasters or in areas where there is a shadow, by mounting antennae on a balloon and taking it up, and also emergency communication during disasters. Similarly, we can also use them for aerial surveillance during events. So yes, LTA systems can be used for commercial applications. But we don't normally use them for supply of arms, okay, because generally there are better ways of supplying arms. But you could mount some weapons below an airship. See, I have not seen in recent times any offensive use of airships. Although during the First World War and Second World War there were offensive uses of airships also. In fact, London city was bombed by airships during the war between Germany and the Allied forces. Prasad wants to know what kind of camera can we use. The camera depends on your application. There are many different type of cameras available, and I will be able to answer the question if you ask me a specific application. Okay, Raman Reddy, can I join the project which you are working for Uttarakhand government? No, the project is already over. We have done the experiment, we have done the trial, we have given the report, and we have handed over the system to Uttarakhand government. Now it is up to them to take it forward. But there are many private parties who are working with me, who are trying to bring in the technology of airships into commercial domain. So we are trying to get it. In fact, I am traveling next week to meet some people to talk about the possibility of commercial exploitation of LTS systems. Okay friends, we have a couple of minutes remaining before we stop. So this is your last chance to ask your questions. And you are also welcome to send me a direct email. I will be able to answer the mail whenever I get time. I normally answer the mail of all the students who write to me because I am really happy. But if you ask trivial questions, then I will just ask you to first discuss them on the discussion forum. My suggestion to you will be, whatever query you have, first put it on the discussion forum. There are two teaching assistants, both of them are experienced. One of them is a PhD in LTS systems. Recently he finished his PhD. His name is Sohan Suvarna. The other one is working on LTS systems for last 2 years with me. So we will be able to answer your queries on discussion forum itself. If something is much more than what they can answer, they will involve me and we will answer you. So please put your question on discussion forum. Use it for asking questions. Discussion forum is not only for asking questions regarding the assignments or the course. It is also meant for any question or query regarding LTS systems. Prasad, aerial surveillance for oil industries. Yes, in principle it can be used, and we are in touch with them. As I mentioned to you, there is a proposal to meet an oil company next week to talk to them about using airships for such work. Okay friends, last chance to ask questions. We are about to wind up now. Just about a minute remaining. I am glad there are so many questions, but I would recommend that use the discussion forum to ask all the questions so that you will be able to get your queries answered much early, and later on in the discussion forum we will have more discussion about the queries, and in the next interaction session after a month or so we can answer more questions. Okay. So camera for oil industries, Prasad, it's a very general question. I mean, I need to know what application, what height, are you looking at audio or video? I mean, I can't answer a question like this directly onto the system. This has to be answered only when you send an email with the specific information. Okay friends, the time is up now. It's already 5 o'clock and I would like to take your leave. I would like to stop this session. Last question is Ramon Reddy. Can we use airships for signal systems which are used for surveillance? The answer is yes. As I mentioned to you, already we have used that system. Okay. Thank you so much, Shubhankar, and everybody else for your very patient listening. And I hope to interact for you. And I expect you to use the discussion forum more frequently for asking your doubts and queries. Thanks a lot. And have a good evening. Thank you. Bye.